Hi, this is Michael McDermott. We're here today talking about 8 concepts that create change in relationships, Part 2. Now, concepts are clearly defined ideas or thoughts that are joined together with deliberate action to create a philosophy or plan that you can trust, refer to, and live by. I believe that concepts are so important in anything, and I take my concepts, I believe, in the Bible as the foundation, as the starting point, as the reference point to everything in my life. You can count on it, you can trust it, you can believe in it. It never changes. It's always applicable no matter where we go, what we do, what situation we find ourselves in. The Bible has clear and accurate and powerful concepts that can create change in relationships. On to concept 6, it's better to prepare than repair relationships. You need to spend a lot more time on forethoughts than afterthoughts when it comes to relationships. Seek out the safety of a multitude of counselors and listen to them. Pay attention to red flags. I've often avoided paying attention to red flags, and I think that those can be your best allies sometimes in determining situations in relationships that need to either be addressed or avoided. Pay attention to red flags. Go slow when entering relationships. It's easier to get into relationships than it is to get out. You know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I always used to hear that haste makes waste. When you get in a hurry, you do things, you overlook things, you forget things, and then almost invariably you have to go back and make up for something that you forgot, that you overlooked, or that you didn't plan for because you moved into something hastily. So much more should we pay attention to our decisions and actions when it comes to entering relationships. And my job was to prepare the Danish pastry dough for baking. And what I didn't realize at that point in time, because nobody had ever told me, they just kind of showed me how to do the job, that what the butter actually does is in the baking process, it helps hold the dough together. I don't understand how it all works, but it's very important to have the butter worked in through every inch of dough so that when it goes through the hot temperatures of the oven, it holds together. So after working there a few weeks, I thought, wouldn't it be good if I could get more work done in less time by skipping one of the steps? Now, they wanted you to take the dough 3 times and knead the butter into the dough. It was a huge machine. It wasn't by hand. It was a huge machine because these chunks of dough were like about 25 pounds a piece. It would have been impossible to knead that by hand. So you would take it, you'd put the butter in, you'd run it through the kneader one way, and you'd do the whole rack of pans that you had, and then you'd come back and you'd start over and you'd do it the other way. And just make sure that you stretch the dough out, that you folded it like you were supposed to, and the third time through was pretty much a guarantee that the dough would be fully saturated with the butter. And so I thought, wow, if I could eliminate one of these steps, I could save a lot of time and create for myself a lot of extra time to hang out with my friends since I was still in high school. And so I skipped one of the steps of the process, got through with my work, went home, went out with the friends, had a great time, and I came back to work the next day and I saw an unusual sight. There were racks and racks and racks of pastries that basically were going to have to be thrown out because when they went through the oven, the dough literally fell apart. So I took a shortcut and I thought I was saving myself some time, but actually I created a lot of loss. That company incurred a lot of loss because of my taking a shortcut. And it's that way in relationships. It's so important to avoid taking shortcuts and think about and be deliberate about your decisions when it comes to relationships. Concept 7, a minute of good communication is better than years of silence. Silence is not always golden. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Communication is so important. And sometimes words that are unspoken are as devastating as words, mean words that are spoken, words in anger, words in haste, words out of selfishness, words out of hurt can be so destructive. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. You know, good communication takes place when an intended message is spoken and understood. Learn to confront in kindness. Speak the truth in love. Listen twice as much as you speak, and speak only after you have thought about what you should say. James 1:19 says everyone should be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger, because the anger of man does not achieve the righteousness of God. The temptation is often there to say things to make yourself feel better or to get something off your chest, and just make sure that you think about and that you pray about what you're about to say into the life of another person. Speak into the life of another person. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. When we were kids, we used to say, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So untrue. Sticks, stones, and words can be devastating, and sometimes words can be more devastating than actual physical attacks or assaults. It's so important to guard your words and to think about what you say, and to realize that your words are powerful and influential, and that what you say can create or destroy. Concept 8, embrace conclusions and avoid confusion. Establish the issues that can be established, and then mark them as dealt with, and then move on to the next. It's good to have a list. It's good to have conclusions that you can come to in life. If you spend all your time chasing your tail or thinking about the possibilities or the probabilities of everything and never drawing any conclusions, life can become really frustrating, because there will never be anything that's established in your life. That's why it's important to embrace conclusions. That's why I love the Word of God. It's the absolute truth. We've been taught in society that there are no absolutes, that there are situational ethics, there are situational rules that apply. That's not the way God established it. God established a foundation. God established strength. God established the world on His Word. There are absolute truths. There are truths we can embrace. There are truths that we can refer back to. You know, God gives us absolutes so that we don't have to worry, so that we don't have to spend all of our time pondering or thinking about what ifs or what could be's. He gives us the ability to come to conclusions, and so we should embrace those. Eliminate the variables. Here's what I've told my daughters as they've grown up about finding a guy, or a guy finding them, or about entering into a relationship. Here's some things that you can know are certainties in a man. Number one, you want to make sure that he fears God and he loves God more than he loves anything else in life, including you. Find a man that loves and fears God. And then secondly, find a guy that is not afraid to work and has a job. And thirdly, a guy that has the utmost of respect for you. Respects his parents, respects others, respects himself. And then fourthly, a guy that takes a bath. Ecclesiastes 12:13 says, the conclusion is, when all has been heard, fear God and keep His commandments, because this applies to every person. 1 Corinthians 14:33 says, God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. So you can embrace conclusions and avoid confusion. Now, I've had a good time here today talking about 8 concepts that create change in relationships, part 2. And I'd just like to say this to you in closing. What you focus on will create and captivate your thoughts. Your thoughts will produce your habits, and your habits become your present and will create your future. Your best days are not behind, but ahead of you. The best songs are yet to be sung and played. The best books are yet to be penned. And the best relationships for you are waiting to be discovered and developed. The best is yet to come. God bless you. This is Michael McDermott. You can check out my books that I've written, other CDs that I have, music CDs. You're hearing the music on the intro and the outro here at keepingitreal.michaelmcdermott.com. keepingitreal.michaelmcdermott.com. Again, this is Michael McDermott, 8 Concepts That Create Change in Relationships, Part 2. I hope you have a great day. Be blessed.